Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a development that is shaking the foundations of the war. How Ukraine reportedly blew up the Crimean Bridge, and how that has sent Russia into a state of panic. What you're watching is not just an explosion, but a strategic message, a logistical blow, and a psychological shock all rolled into one. The Crimean Bridge spans the Kerch Strait, linking mainland Russia to the annexed Crimean Peninsula. Built by Moscow after 2014, it has served as both a civilian link and a critical supply route for Russian forces. In the early hours of June 3, 2025, the Security Service of Ukraine claimed it detonated around 100 kilograms of explosives beneath the waterline of one of the bridges, supports an operation that reportedly took months to plan. The video released shows underwater shockwaves, massive plumes of water, and structural supports being shaken. For Russia, this was more than damage. It was a signal that its infrastructure is vulnerable and its logistics exposed. The footage shows the calm of night giving way to a thunderous explosion, followed by fire and smoke. Bridge traffic is halted, columns beneath the bridge rock, and the reflection of flames on the water underscores that this is no ordinary strike. The SBU described the bridge as being in an emergency condition. Yet Moscow responded quickly and claimed there was no serious damage and that the bridge remained operational. That clash between visible destruction and official denial is itself part of the story. The bridge is not just concrete and steel, it is a lifeline. Russia uses it to move troops, fuel, ammunition, and heavy equipment into Crimea and from there into southern Ukraine. Disrupting it doesn't just slow things down. It forces reroutes, adds cost, and increases exposure. Every convoy delayed is a tactical advantage for Ukraine. The symbolic value is also enormous. The bridge was a massive infrastructure project, promoted by Moscow as proof of its control. Having it hit undermines that image of permanence and power. Even though Russian officials insist the structure remains intact, the real story may lie in the unseen damage underwater. Even if the bridge stands, the stress, uncertainty, and required repairs will degrade its effectiveness. And that's where panic sets in. The fear is not just of the damage itself, but of what it represents. A new phase of warfare where even Russia's most protected assets are at risk. From a strategic viewpoint, this is Ukraine escalating the war into the realm of logistics and infrastructure, attacking not just at the front lines but deep behind them. Bridges, rail nodes, and supply routes are becoming targets. When those are contested, armies lose speed, efficiency, and morale. Russia's panic is evident in its immediate response. Official denials, emergency inspections, and an emphasis on restoring control. The need to show strength so quickly reveals how fragile that control actually is. This becomes a psychological weapon as much as a physical one. The footage of the bridge in flames has spread globally, reaching both soldiers and civilians. It creates doubt. If this massive structure can be struck, what else is vulnerable? For Russian troops in Crimea, the thought of their main supply route being disrupted is demoralizing. For the Russian public, it's a reminder that even what seemed untouchable can burn. For Ukraine, it's proof that determination and strategy can overcome sheer size and propaganda. On the ground, soldiers rely on that bridge for supplies, fuel, ammunition, reinforcements, food, and equipment. When that line is threatened, it creates logistical chaos. Every detour adds hours, exposes convoys to drone surveillance, and consumes more resources. Russian commanders will now have to protect infrastructure, which pulls men and material away from offensive operations. That's how a single strike can shift the momentum, not by destroying everything, but by forcing the opponent to stretch thinner and react instead of attack. In the broader picture, this event may redefine how the war is fought. It's moving from territorial battles to infrastructure warfare, targeting roads, bridges, and rail lines that sustain armies. Ukraine has been increasingly effective at striking these arteries, cutting Russia's lifelines piece by piece. Russia, meanwhile, must now defend not only its troops but the routes that feed them. That shift alone changes the strategic landscape. Russia's official reaction, downplaying the damage, was predictable. They can't afford to project weakness, especially after previous attacks on the bridge. Yet every denial seems less convincing as new footage surfaces and analysts highlight visible damage. The urgency of Moscow's inspections and the speed of propaganda releases show how much the government fears the psychological impact. A nation confident in its control doesn't rush to reassure it acts quietly. The panic we're seeing is loud. For analysts and viewers, it's important to separate spectacle from strategy. The explosion is dramatic, yes, but its real power lies in disruption and message. Logistics are about consistency, and even the threat of instability weakens efficiency. Each delay and diversion adds up, reducing Russia's ability to sustain frontline operations. It's a war of attrition fought through infrastructure. This strike also marks a turning point in information warfare. Ukraine's release of the footage was deliberate. It ensures the world sees what happened, leaving Russia's narrative of control increasingly fragile. The images of fire, destruction, and chaos directly contradict the calm tone of official Russian statements. That visual dissonance fuels public doubt both inside and outside Russia. The event also affects global perception. International observers and Western allies view this as another demonstration of Ukraine's capability and intelligence precision. It reinforces the idea that Russia's dominance is not absolute. Each strike on high, U infrastructure builds confidence in Ukraine's strategic planning and erodes the myth of Russian invincibility. The panic inside Russia is not only military but political. The Crimean Bridge was a centerpiece of national pride, personally inaugurated by Putin himself. Any threat to it is seen as an attack on his image of strength. When that image burns even symbolically, it weakens the foundation of authority. That's why his administration moves quickly to contain the narrative, to make it appear minor or inconsequential. But the visual truth is harder to bury than words. For Ukraine, this moment carries symbolic victory and tactical gain. The nation demonstrates resilience, precision, and the ability to strike where it matters most. For the soldiers on the ground, it's a morale boost. For civilians, it's a sign of progress. It reinforces that no matter how vast Russia's resources, vulnerabilities exist and can be exploited with intelligence and patience. Looking ahead, the consequences of this strike will ripple through months of strategy. Repairing and securing the bridge will drain manpower and resources. Additional fortifications will be built, but each new wall and checkpoint slows movement. Supply chains will grow longer and more expensive. Even if Russia repairs the bridge, it will remain a symbol of weakness, proof that it can be reached. Viewers should keep an eye on how this affects both sides' next moves. Will Ukraine continue its infrastructure campaign, striking other key routes? Will Russia attempt to retaliate with long-range attacks on Ukrainian infrastructure? The pattern of escalation is clear. Both sides are expanding the battlefield beyond front lines into the systems that keep armies moving. The footage of the Crimean Bridge engulfed in fire will remain one of the most striking images of this conflict. It represents not only physical destruction, but psychological warfare, a moment that shatters the illusion of invulnerability. The panic in Russia is not just about the bridge, but what it means. The possibility that control over Crimea itself is no longer secure. This event will be analyzed, debated, and referenced for months to come. It shows how modern warfare is changing, how intelligence, precision, and timing can achieve what mass assaults cannot. The lesson is clear. Power today is not just about weapons, but about the ability to disrupt, expose, and reshape narratives. Thank you for watching. If you found this breakdown informative, make sure to like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more updates on how the war is evolving. Each moment like this changes the course of the conflict, and will continue to bring you the stories behind the headlines. Stay informed, stay aware, and we'll see you in the next video.